All right, we ready to rock and roll now. All right, so we got to pull it up. Get essential sounds and instruments. So let's see what we got here. We got essential sounds that are 575 megabytes. We got essential electronic sounds and hip hop sounds. It's another. So to tell you the numbers, you got basically about a gig, 3 packs. So we're going to go ahead. Ooh, that's kind of dope. So we're going to go ahead and get that. So I guess maybe it's downloaded in the background. Getting over here, looks like we've got tracks, which is your regular mode, and then you got live loops, and then you got like the whole learning explore. That's pretty cool. They got a Logic Pro Tour, all of that stuff like that with tutorials, lessons. It's kind of giving me GarageBand vibes. Then the feature sound packs. This is some of the stuff we remember from GarageBand. If you guys have had GarageBand on the iPad, then you know about this. And the live loops grids. That's cool. All right, so let's dig into the main event. Looks like my download is almost finished. I'm trying to wait on that to finish. Boom. All right, opening up Logic for the first time on my freaking iPad Pro, guys. This is the moment we've been waiting for. Tracks. Oh, dope. So we get the MIDI audio pattern. That's like your live loops. Or maybe that's not. That's a software instrument called pattern. Then you got drummer. Then you got patches, loops, and samples. This is the browser joint. Let's go full screen. Let's make this. There we go. It's a little bit better. So we got all of that stuff like here, audio patches. This is the browser they were talking about. Oh, that's dope. That's dope. So those are patches. You got your Apple loops over here. Yeah, that's dope. Okay, just playing that in there. Samples. So what are these? Just like samples. Almost like, I get it. So you probably drag these into the sampler. Super dope. All right, let's just pull up, add in a MIDI track, right? All right, the suitcase. We all know this. Rename, save patch, create summon stack, create folder stack. That's cool. How do I pull up like the virtual keyboard down here at the bottom? Yep, that's definitely it. Trying to play this on this virtual keyboard is cool. So soul organ. So you got to double tap. Yeah, they got like the bass. Oh, that's crazy. So you go to bass, it changes. So I actually got a bass down here. But what if I want to, if I'm not a bass player, I'm a keys player, but I want to play bass. How do I change this to a keyboard? Boom. Keyboard, double keyboard at that. Now that's cool. You can actually resize the keyboard. So that's pretty dope. That's pretty dope that we can do that. And that's the pattern mode, track mode. Oh, let's get back in here. All right, let's see what else. So the sounds are the sounds. Sure, and adding audio tracks is pretty much the same. Yep, that's dope. You can add that in there. What about my channel strip? So I is that. So how do I? Okay, there you go. There's some options. Tracks, there's your sends, your outputs. I love this. I saw this on the, on the website and on the, on the video they were showing where they were like, this little layout that they got where you have the different, kind of module tree. So if I want to add a MIDI effects, it's right there. If I want to add audio effects, this is how you add it. So if I want to add an EQ, that's how I would do it. So it's in the chain. And how I got there was, let's backtrack. Let's get rid of that. So you can remove all of those, remove those things. Oh, okay. There's another, there's like the volume. So if I get rid of that, these are the different layouts. There's your output, freeze tracks, create groups. That's those options there. There's a fader for your volume. Adding tracks is pretty straightforward. Duplicate, show output track, tempo, global markers, all those things you would expect right in there. Automation, dope. So if I'm writing in automation, yep, everything you would expect. So I guess if I go here, this is a brush, and you can draw it in. That's pretty dope. I guess this is for moving automation. Automation settings, cut, copy, paste. Okay, cool. So we got that. I haven't seen flex yet, or is it on the track? Like it would probably be on audio. Maybe customize track header. I don't see flex pitch as an option. Flex, that's something I use a lot, is flex. Okay, so is there a way to, that's how you blow the compressor up. That's dope. I'm literally just exploring, you know, this is us seeing this together. If you got questions, which I'm going to look at that in just a second, just drop them down there and I will get to those in just a second. You know, if anything specific you guys want me to look at, I'm just literally experimenting. There's a silver verb. That's how you add in. How do I get to the mixer view? Is it right here? Okay, dope. Yup. Just as you expect, you can bring that up. So channel EQ, that's dope. But I don't like how that resets like that. So if I double click on channel EQ, it gives me up here where I can mess around with the EQ. That's pretty sick. And then when I close it though, if I want to get back to that window, I got to readjust that window back up, which is not a problem. Sampler. This plugin provides compatibility. So I guess I don't have anything loaded. Maybe because I'm on audio. Okay. We'll look at that in a second. Figure that out. That's dope, though, how they got that set up, where you can just kind of bring that up. And I can feel the pain of working on a smaller screen. And the iPad, this is the iPad Pro. This is like the 11-inch. So, you know, that's how 11-inch kind of feels small on there. But I can imagine what it would feel like if you was on like a regular iPad or like an iPad mini. You're going to be really constrained. That's probably why in the main video, they were showing like all of the, everybody was on like iPad Pro 12-inch joints. You know what I'm saying? So there's that. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. So that's pretty straightforward. All right. So just the overview, we got the loop browser, instrument browser, sample browser over here, which is dope. That's how you access that. You have a channel strip. Your eye gives you that, where you can do your track head and all of that stuff, MIDI in and out, ports and all of that junk. Then there's this little side button right here that brings up the sidebar for your actual, you know, volume mixer and all of that. And if you want to get to the mixer, it's down here. So you have smart controls, or no, that's actually like your plugin chain. So that's how you access that. This is how you access the piano roll. This is how you access the mixer. Everything's pretty straightforward. The only thing that wasn't as straightforward to me so far was the fact that I had to, in order to get an instrument in, I have to double tap on it, which is cool. I was expecting I think because I come from like the Studio One world too, my brain is like conditioned to that. And everything with the iPad is like drag and drop. Like we're used to that framework. So the initial thing that I was thinking is like, oh, let me just grab this and just drag it over, but it's not doing that. So if you want to do it, you got to double tap on it. So those are just a few things that I figured out, just playing with it. Seems pretty intuitive. Yeah, so this is going to be the biggest thing. Many third party plugins are not going to be, you're not going to be able to load those. You're not going to be able to load those because of the Apple's framework, right? They support what is called AUV3. Most of our plugins that live on Mac OS and other platforms are AUV2. All right. So that means that they are they're not supported. You know what I mean? Like as developers, and I'm being a developer myself, we have to port our stuff over and actually make it an iPad app first that is AUV3 compatible. And then so you're not going to be able to run like your Spectrasonics, your Omnisphere, Keyscape, Serum, any of those, the Contact, Native Instruments, Complete, anything that you're probably thinking about, Waves plugins, FabFilter. Yeah, well, FabFilter has some stuff on iOS, but your Mic DSP and Slate plugins and all of that stuff that you guys are really used to using, that's not gonna show up on here. You're not gonna be able to load that stuff. Live performance, this should probably be really, really good. It's going to be really good for live performance because you can, especially you guys that run stems and do things of that nature, you'll be able to do that. Have you tried how it behaves with Stage Manager on an external screen? Does it give more real estate? Well, it does work with Stage Manager, and I'll tell you why, because this is actually running. So I have this, you can't see it, but I have this plugged into an external switcher, and it's running in the stage mode, so to speak. So you can see the Stage Manager, off here to the side, and you can see that stuff there. And so, yeah, it'll work like that. With Stage Manager, there's only certain displays that are supported on the external display. And you have to Google that and look that up. There's like a certain spec for monitors that work with Stage Manager and give you like the full screen experience. Otherwise, most of us are going to be looking at like this square, basically what you're looking at right now, a mirrored version, and Stage Manager can pop up like that. You know what I mean? Like you're going to be looking at that on an external display. That's most displays on the market. Apple has only set it to work with certain displays. So if you have one of those compatible displays, then yes, there's a good chance that you'll probably be able to get some more real estate with Logic, but not necessarily with this. All right, let's see what else we got here. How many gigs do you need? So far to get it going, it was probably about 2 gigs, and that gets me what I got right now, which is the essential sounds. And the program itself, Logic itself, was only 600 megabytes, which is kind of cool because I think Logic on the computer is like 2 gigs, if I remember correctly. The desktop version of Logic is 2 gigs, but the iPad version is less than a gig. It's like 600 megabytes. So that's super dope. So you don't have to have a lot of space to just install it and kind of get going. I think where it's going to get interesting is probably going to be when you decide to add more stuff to your sound library. So let me show you guys how I got there. Let me move this out the way so you guys can see how I got there. So down in the corner here, it says sound library, and I pull that up. And then here's where you're going to get all of your instrument packs. So I've already got, I guess, the essential and compatibility. So I could easily download the GarageBand sounds. That's going to add another 802 megs to my, to my iPad. Let's just kind of go through some of these. So these are some of the packs. This is 200 megs. This is a drummer pack. That's 91 megabytes. So that's not going to take up stuff. So you got all your drummer kits. That's pretty much all of those. 225. So probably all of these and the drummers and kits would probably be about 1.5 gigs, maybe 2 gigs. Yeah, it's going to be somewhere around in there, 2 gigs or so. Now, I have a 256 gig iPad, so I'm going to eventually be downloading all of this. But like keyboard collection, that's 200. That's 32 megs. The strings, here's a big one. That's a gig, 1.85 gigs on that. The horns, studio horns, that's another 3 gigs to almost. Tone collection, that's 27 megs. And then you got all of these bass amps, that's 4 megabytes. Cinematic synths, that's 577. So some of these aren't big at all. And some of these are kind of large. So I bet you if you go to like Oak Felder, you get 460 Apple loops, 4 drum machine designer kit, 60 samples, all of that stuff, 466 megabytes. So that's pretty dope. I think in GarageBand, you actually had to buy these, if I remember correctly. But if you subscribe, I guess you get these all for free. So Boys Noise, 79 megabytes. That's not even it's more Apple loops than it is anything. So these are some of the signature packs that they got so far. I'm pretty sure they're going to be adding more in. These aren't that big, 49 megabytes, 140 megs. Soul Selection, 221. So even if I downloaded all of these signature packs, it would probably be, another gig or so. So I know, and then you got all the sound packs. You got all this stuff up here. It's just a lot of sounds. Now I'll have to dig in really deep off camera and see like if they got all of the full Logic library, because I think the full Logic library, if you download it on your Mac, is probably somewhere around 20 to 30 gigs, somewhere in that neighborhood, maybe 27, 25 gigs, somewhere around there last time I remember downloading it. So that's something to think about. I have a 256 gig iPad. I don't use my iPad for much outside of the, production world and doing different things. So I'm not doing video editing or anything on there. So that's something to think about. Let's get back to work. Let's see what else we can do with this. So let's see what I want to do first. I'm curious on a couple of things. Drummer track, we know about that. Pattern, let's see what this is. Okay, so this is the step sequencer mode where you can so it creates a pattern. I wonder if my Logic key commands work. So loop, yep. That works. That's GarageBand type situation. So I have to hit the loop and then I drag it. There you go. That makes sense. And then, yep, just like I would in Logic. That makes sense. This is ratchet. Y'all don't pay no attention to this. I'm just literally testing it out. So that's cool. This is expected, you know. So if you want to loop something, that's how you would do it. That's cool. So that's pattern mode. And then you can add in all of your different samples and stuff with that. So that's pretty dope. So I just figured that out. That's what I was wondering. How, because like, you know, in Logic, you can pre-add whatever patch or whatever you want to add in as you're creating the track. So if you hit this little circle here and you can choose to use external MIDI, you can choose, oh, that might be a good opportunity to see that if my Bluetooth MIDI controller will work with it. I'm gonna check that out in just a second here. So that's how I use external MIDI. Let me look at that again. Okay. You can choose whether or not to open the browser and where to open it to. That's cool. Here's where you access your instruments, drums, sampler. Yeah, that's what I was wondering about, if they had the multi-sampler or if it was just quick sample. So this is like the new joint they have, the sample Alchemy. So I guess you drag a sample in. So this is where these samples come in. So let's drag this in. Yeah, there's a drag situation. That works as expected. Cool. So you can create your own samples or own instruments using that. And then let's bring it up. Here you go. Here's where the magic happens. So you change the playback speed. Yeah. So that's the tuning. Here's your low resolution, cutoff. So it's like a sampler with Alchemy built in. And then you got all of your different filters that you can play around with. And then, of course, if I want to add an effect, I like this workflow. I like that. I can EQ, come back. Now that's my chain, my audio effects. I got sample Alchemy here, and then I got a channel EQ there, so I can go back and forth between those two. That's pretty dope. If I want to add something else in, I'm just playing around with what I would do in, add a verb. So I like that window workflow like that. Actually, is pretty dope how that works. And then I got the mixer in there, so that's cool. So sample Alchemy is like, this is like the new thing. So you can go play with motion. Also, you can record. Interesting. Interesting. That's kind of interesting to play around with. Okay, trimming the sample. So it's a sampler. This is interesting. I'm gonna have to spend some time with this to really know what we can do with it. Something else new that they brought in was, I think it's called Beat Breaker. Probably would be under drums, drum machine designer, drum synth. These are my third party. So here's the option. Here's the situation. So here's how you would add in a third party instrument. I'm adding in Korg Module Pro. So this is Korg Module added into my added in as a third party instrument. So that's how you would add in the third party instrument workflow. I'm trying to find that Beat Breaker joint that's supposed to be like the new whatever. Vintage keys. Oh, they got the vintage organ in here. They got the organ joint. So for all of y'all of my church heads that wanted to know, we got Logic organ in here. What can I do with it? Oh. That's crazy. So we got the Logic organ in here. There's your drawbars. That's sweet. That's sweet, bro. That's so sweet. What's this upper? Am I on upper? It's hard trying to multi-touch this. Or am I on lower? There it is. I'm on lower. Sorry. Oh, you got the pedal drawbars down here. So check this, guys. I think I really like this with the organ. They really did good with this. So there's the rotation. That's really cool. There's all of my set. Oh, dang. Dang. Yo. They went in. They went in with the Logic organ. Look at all these settings. Oh my God. This is going to be crazy. This is going to be crazy. Yo, I'm blown away. This is probably my favorite part right here. If nothing else, it's worth $50 a year just for this organ. It's worth $50 a year just for the organ, y'all. Yo, that's crazy. All of these settings, and you got complete control over everything. I wish they would have gave me more of a accurate, just put some actual drawbars to give it more graphic, to make it look like it's a little sterile in terms of the look, but the fact that I got control over all of these parameters on my iPad, that's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. This is a winner right here. This wins it just for me. If nothing else, especially for my live musicians, church musicians, people who do that sort of thing, gig, this is extremely valuable because now you can take something like this out on the road just with a MIDI controller or a couple of MIDI controllers and create you a nice little organ vibe, because everybody knows the Logic organ is one of the best virtual organs on the market. There's some good stuff out there. UAD just dropped something really dope, and there's the B3X joint, but nothing is just that, or Logic organ is just as good as what I'm trying to say. That's pretty dope. That's pretty dope. Yeah, this is a really good question. What are the audio feature editing features like? They're pretty dope. I can definitely see a use case for this because they have like the full Logic mixer in here, and that's I think one of the things that impressed me the most about it. So I have the full Logic mixer here, you know what I mean, and I can go through. We got faders. It kind of reminds me of like one of those like X32 apps, you know what I mean? Like the faders are really responsive, you know what I mean, as you can see. Opening up a plugin isn't as intuitive. Well, that's pretty intuitive, but it pops up. So this is what is not intuitive about it. Pops up. You got the studio compressors. This is really dope. Don't let me hold you. Yeah, this is really dope. Don't let me hold you. But when I close it, see, it kind of collapses everything. And then I have to move the mixer back up into play in order to get back to where I was, versus a desktop workflow that's like, I would double tap on, say, an EQ. Yep, see, just then it just kind of popped down. Pulls up the EQ, because what it does is it pushes the mixer down. So then, I don't know, maybe if I go back, maybe there's a way around it, just learning a different note. No, There's no way. Only other way to do that is just to move the mixer back up, or just kind of come up with a workflow like that that works. But I like to be able to see like the plugins on the strip. So being able to pull up the compressor is pretty dope. I just wish they would have kind of made it maybe like a second window, slide over, slide back, or I'm pretty sure opening up like it does in a separate window on Logic on the desktop was kind of a bit more intensive that they didn't want to go into. But it looks like you have all of it's a full featured mixer. You got your automation. Let's see if we can get I don't see the buses. See panning. Let's see if we can customize the mixer real quick. Show meter bridge, auto scroll selection. What does this plus do? Oh, that's dope. So this is the setup. So you got mix, and then you got a setup where you got your MIDI effects, all of those things like that. That's pretty cool. So those are two modes, but I would like to be able to see my buses and my sends as well, because that's important. I mean, the mixer itself is really cool. There, okay, that opened it up. So I got buses. So if you got buses on the track, they show up. Okay, that's pretty cool. So in order to get a bus, I got to add a bus. That's cool. Yeah, that's cool. Being able to do that. So it's pretty full featured. Pretty full featured mixer. I like that. That's pretty dope. I think that's where it could definitely win. And I'm probably going to do a stream here pretty soon where I'm going to actually try to mix something on the iPad. I think that would be super, super, super dope to try. This will help me test out for a second. This is Bluetooth MIDI. So I'm assuming I'll probably need to go to Bluetooth. Huh. Yeah, that's a good question. If I can connect the Bluetooth MIDI controller. Let's find out. In the settings, app settings, MIDI, Bluetooth MIDI devices. So let's show you guys this. So Apple would like to do that. There's the Lumi connecting. So that's how you pull up your MIDI controllers there, for those who didn't see. So to get to MIDI, you would hit your settings up here in the corner, and then it'll be under app settings, MIDI. And now I got my MIDI, all my MIDI stuff there. That's pretty dope. There's how you can access MIDI remote. So that's pretty dope. So now I have my MIDI controller connected. Let's get out of here. For some reason, I'm playing more than one sound. Let's just create a new project, right? So I can just keep it simple. Yep. So here, MIDI. Maybe because I got something running in the background. Maybe module. I think that might be what I'm hearing. Let's close this app. There we go. Okay. So MIDI controller. So that's cool. Works. It's pretty dope. Other than that, I think the thing that won it for me, I'm going to show you what I think is the winner. It's this thing right here. It's this freaking Logic organ, y'all. This is worth gold right here. Just being able to go into this. Let me see. I got my controller here. All right. So I would turn off the percussion. I got a little 25 key controller here, so I'm not gonna be able to do much in terms of playing. But you got slide out. That's kind of funky. There we go. Or am I on upper? I must be on upper. There it is, on upper. This is dope. That's pretty dope. I'm on a little 25 key controller, so you know you'll see it right here. It's a little 25 key thing, so it ain't too much I can do. But that's pretty dope. And then all of these settings, they literally give you everything. Now I wish they would have made it a little bit more graphical, but it's all there. You know what I mean? Like your drive, your click, your percussion options. This is super dope. This is super duper dope. Like super duper dope. Like super duper dope. And this is probably going to be one of the more fully featured organs on iPad right now. And that is super dope. I still couldn't find the beat breaker joint. I'll look for that off stream and kind of play around with it. But it's super dope. And we'll dig in and we'll figure it out and see what we can do with this and like do some tracks and do some stuff with it. Like right now I'm just exploring. I'm not trying to create anything. I'm literally just exploring it, you know, just to see what it can do or what have you. But I think that's pretty dope. I think it's pretty dope. Other than that, I think it's a winner. I'm definitely going to try it out. I think it wins with that. The mixer is super dope. The access to, you know, being able to pull up your plugins is pretty dope. I can double tap here. You know what I mean? I can adjust these windows. I can kind of work through these workflows. Yeah, I think it's a winner. I'm very impressed with it. Worth $5 a month. If Logic is your bag, I'll tell you like this. If Logic is your bag, if this is what you do, if you're a producer, Logic is something that you use on the regular, and you have an iPad, iPad is what you do, then it's definitely worth it for you, for that standpoint, to just add something as another tool, because it's definitely going to be used. I'm going to be exploring how I can use this in my workflow. As you guys saw on live, I went ahead and committed to the annual. I'm gonna go ahead and pay the annual price and call it a day. Yeah, so it's dope. I think it's really dope. If you're an iPad producer, I say it's definitely a go. If you produce exclusively on iPad, then I think it's a definite go. If I was a strictly iPad producer, hands down, I pay that $5 a month. Or 50, I just pay the $50 a year and I just go for it and have this, because the sound packs, the loops, the pro workflow that you get is worth that. You know what I mean? Now the things that you don't get, us that are coming from desktop, you're not getting any like full AUVST support, like you're talking about your silence, your omnispheres, your keyscapes, your UVI, your contact. You're not going to be able to bring any of that stuff over. But I think this is a step forward now that Apple has moved Logic over to the iPad and it's become a thing. I think it's now going to become more attractive to developers to start moving their stuff over, to start porting their stuff over, to start bringing it over to that. So I think within the next couple of years, over the course of the next couple of years, we're probably going to start seeing a lot of ports because Logic is one of those major DAWs. It's one of those major players in the game. And so everybody is going to want a piece of that pie, and they're going to be wanting to get their products in the hands of people that can finally use it. So I can see this as a definite net positive as a developer, as someone who creates products, who does packs and things of that nature. I'm definitely going to be exploring how I can implement these products and stuff that I have, loop elements, mixing templates that we have, peculiar sounds, Yash Warehouse, all of those different products and plugins and stuff that I've created. I'm going to definitely be trying to see if I can get them over here to work inside of Logic in the iPad. So it's definitely an attractive measure for those who are in that world. If you're in the iPad world, if you're in the iOS world, I think it's worth it. I think it's worth spending that money on. That's just my 2 cents. My man says, I have the iPad and it's pretty smooth. Yeah. Oh, you have the iPad Mini 6. I got you. It's pretty smooth. Yeah. And that's another thing, like the iPad Mini, like getting Logic on devices like this opens up a whole nother world of people who don't own Macs, that don't want to get into Macs, but they've always liked Logic and they wanted to get into that world. This allows them to get in. And the iPad Mini is smaller than this little MIDI controller that I have. It's just a hair small. It's about the same width probably, but it's about half the size. So you're talking about having something this small relatively with Logic on it and a full production tool. And those that really know what they're doing, you can make it like pop with anything. You know what I'm saying? Like you can make this joint drop with anything. So I'm really excited about this. This would make the rumored 14-inch iPad make sense. I definitely agree with you there. I definitely agree with you there. So I think this is a win. I think this is going to be a net positive for Apple, for producers as a whole. If it's something that you think you should think you should invest in, I think you should go ahead and jump on it. As far as like the subscription thing, I know we all have like subscription burnout. Like there's a subscription that pops up every day from something that we want to do. And that's just life. That's just where the industry is. That's just where the market is. That's just where people is. So you as the consumer get the opportunity to choose what it is that you invest your money in. Nobody's holding a gun to your head and saying you have to buy spend $50 a year on Logic. Nobody pointed that gun to your head and said, you gonna get this Logic. You gonna get Logic today. And you gonna give me this $5. And that's not even the energy that Apple is on. This was coming whether you wanted it to come or not. Subscriptions and all of these things are coming whether you want them to come or not. Eventually somebody's gonna come up with a Air subscription. You know what I mean? They're going to put a dome over a city. It's going to be some of those futuristic vibes where they lock us in some kind of dome and make us pay $5 a month to access clean air. You know what I'm saying? Like it's inevitable that things are going this way. And so as a consumer, you get the opportunity to choose what you invest your money in. As a creative, as a producer, as a developer, the field that I am in, things like this I see as tools that I need to invest in as a developer, as someone that is in the creative space. I see the value in being able to explore these platforms and learn how to max them out because I can teach them. I can create products for them. I can create packs for them. And you have to kind of lock yourself into that. And at the end of the day, if you're running and you're doing music as a business, if you're doing music as a business, then this is a business expense. Like that $50 that I just locked in with Apple and said, yeah, let me just go and get the $50, just charge me $50 a year. That's a tax write-off. I get to put that on my taxes at the end of the year. Like, just, just go ahead and write it off, But if you're a hobbyist, if this is not something that you do for a living, take it with a grain of salt. Tell Apple to kick rocks. Keep doing it. And here's the other thing. If you have a Mac, if you're using Logic, Logic is still a paid product as of right now on desktop. And I have a M1 computer here. It's not the one here on my desk. It's one of my other, I don't know if it's my Mac Mini. I think it's my Mac Mini. I'm running like Logic 10.5 on that one. I just haven't updated it yet. It's not that, because I don't produce on that computer. So it's literally my development computer. So I only need it for development and testing and maybe dragging some audio in and pressing play. I don't produce, I don't mix on that device. So it's still like locked on like Logic 10.5. Logic 10.5 was like 3 or 4 years ago, or 2 years ago, somewhere around in there, 2 or 3 years ago was Logic 10.5. So that means if you have Logic 10.7 right now, it's still going to be locked in and working for the next, it's probably going to be locked in and you're still going to be able to work with that for the next 5-6 years. I know people that are still using Logic X. I'm talking like 10.0.0. So again, there's no reason for you to get all uproars about subscriptions and about what it's costing you. You, as the consumer, get to choose what you spend money on. And I think I remember somebody talking about the Waves debacle. I was watching a video the other day, and they were saying, like, has Apple learned nothing from Waves? And here's the thing. Apple is $1 trillion company. They're not at Waves. Waves is probably a multi-million-dollar company. So, the audio community getting upset and pissed off at them for doing, switching to subscription model. That hurts a company like Waves. If thousands of their customers jump ship or trash the company, yeah, that hurts a multi-million-dollar company. But $1 trillion company, Apple, we're fleas to Apple, and we represent like 0.0000000000001% of their customer base. And so you complain about $5 a month, $50 a year. It's like fleas talking. Anyway, that's my soapbox moment for the day. We'll have some deeper conversation. I think we're going to talk about this on my Hangout podcast tomorrow. If you don't know what the Hangout is, hop on over to Gospel Producers on YouTube and subscribe over there. We do a podcast bi-weekly. We don't do it every week. We do it bi-weekly. So, you know what I mean? We're going to get that going. Let me see here. Loop elements definitely would be clutch for the iPad. I'm going to explore that. I haven't tried it. I'm going to explore it here off camera because I need to see what really the framework I looked at it as a consumer, producer, musician. That's what I've been doing this whole stream, just looking at it from that perspective. Once I get off and my brain resets, get some lunch, I'm going to be able to focus on this and look at this from a development space. Like, what is it as a developer? Like, what does this look like as a company or as a whatever for us to bring our products over to iPad? Does it make sense? And my favorite phrase is, if it don't make sense, it don't make dollars, so we got to make it make sense. Let's see. Don't know if you found that Flex. I'm done with Flex, bro. I'm not finna pull up. I'm not finna look for Flex anymore on this stream. I spent like 20 minutes looking for Flex. I'll look for it after the fact. It's there. We've got some confirmations that it's there. Logic Pro for iPad can mix spatial audio. Now that is a very, very good question. I did not see anything mentioned and I think I mentioned this in my last video I did about it. I didn't see anything mentioned about Flex, about spatial audio being built into Logic for anything. So I'm pretty sure they did show some people with the AirPods Max, like in the advertisements in like the joint and like on the website. So maybe it's something I'll have to explore. And Apple hasn't made any like announcement about it. What we got here? Sorry, we're paying paying for the price of all that hack software that we hacked back in see, listen, Logic is probably one of the most hacked DAWs on the market. And Apple, I've seen several people make this point already. Apple didn't even charge, like they've upgraded Logic for over 10 years and haven't charged anybody for it. You know what I'm saying? Like they haven't charged anybody for it. Like there's been no paid upgrades for Logic for well over a decade. You know what I mean? Like no paid upgrades. They've been like literally giving it away. And you watching this stream, the ones that's complaining about the cost of what Logic is going to cost on the iPad, not even on the desktop. It's still paid on the desktop. Those of you that are complaining, y'all are logged into Lids. And if y'all been following me, you know what I mean when I say logged into Lids. Y'all logged into Lids because y'all got, you got Logic from your homeboy. You got Logic from your homeboy. That's what you did. Keep it a buck. Log off Lids. Stop capping, and just know that's what you did. You just stop capping, bro. Stop capping. And Lids is a cap store. If y'all don't know that, that's one of my phrases. I say log off Lids. Stop capping. So yeah, it's one of those things, man. It's just one of those things. Bet I'll check that out after the joint. My man says, I'm a hobbyist and I'm willing to pay that minimal fee for now. Absolutely. I prefer the yearly payment. I think it's just, just hit me for the year. Just move on. I'll see you again next year in May, Apple. Talk to you again. You know what I mean? Yeah, I think we do. I think we definitely need this. I think the industry does. Started converting to newer technology and holding on to the old. Yep, absolutely. There you go. The major thing with Apple is they're a hardware company with software. They've sold hundreds of millions, probably a billion at this point, of iOS devices. They make money. Like our little $4, they don't even need, like, okay, let's just do a hypothetical here. Let's do a hypothetical for here. Let's say Apple is Apple has sold, I know they've sold more than this. Well, let's just say 100 million. Let's say they've sold 100. Let's say that Apple has sold 100 million iPads. That means they have 100 million customers. They got more than that. But let's just say hypothetically, 100 million iPads in circulation that can run Logic. They only need if just 1% of that 100 million, 1 million people decide to give Apple $50 a year. Let me pull up my calculator real quick. A million, that's easy math, but if 1 million people decide to give Apple $50, that's $50 million. And you know it's more than that. This move for Apple to bring Logic to the iPad, even if it's just 100,000 people, that's still $5 million that'll come in a year. But you know it's going to be more than, or in a month rather, or whatever the case may be, in a year. You know it's going to be more people than that that's going to pay that $50. That's going to pay that. $5 a month. Like, it's a mute point. And here's the thing, the Apple's true consumer base is not guys like us. Their true consumer base is the everyday Joe Smo, regular cat that works at FedEx, works at Walmart, works in corporate America, you know, that this is all a hobby and fun and games for them. And now we've told them that you can get Logic, which is a multi-platinum producing. This is the same thing that, you know, not Timbaland, but big producers, Oakfelder and people like that use, the people that produce the music that you hear on the radio. They use this software to produce multi-platinum hits, chart-topping hits, and now that thing is available on the iPad, and you can get it and make music with it for only $5 a month. And for somebody who's probably not even a musician, not even a producer, never produced anything, to tell them that they have an iPad, that they have a device that can that can possibly produce a chart-topping hit with, they're gonna do it. And all our complaints are literally just flying right over Apple's head, bro. Like they're not listening. They're not waves. So keep that in and remember that. Remember that. Okay, guys, I'm about to get ready to get out of here. 2 hours in. This is cool. It wasn't on a long list of options. It was a list with only half a dozen options. I think it was. Okay. We still talking about Flex. iPad Air. I don't know. I think the lowest version is an iPad 3rd generation, iPad Air 3rd gen. So I think it's basically anything that came out within the last 5 to 6 years or so, roughly, will run Logic. That's that. All right, this is it, and we're gonna get out of here. The average user is producing content every day, and now needs good sound. This goes hand in glove with the Final Cut workflow. I agree, JR. I definitely agree, bro. That's just where it is. All right, folks, this is cool. This has been fun. I really enjoyed this. Just hanging out, doing this live. Logic Pro, let me unplug this. Logic Pro on the iPad, ladies and gentlemen. This is really, really cool. We finally got here. It took us a decade to get here, but we're here. And it works in landscape mode. I didn't even get to see that. That's crazy. So you can actually use Logic in landscape mode, bro. Like, that's kind of cold. I ain't even gonna hold you. Look at that. Logic in landscape. That's useful. That's a feature probably nobody even talked about. You can actually work with Logic in landscape mode. That's pretty cool. Like, I can sit like this and work on Logic. That's a pretty good workflow. But y'all check that out. Y'all check it out, App Store, all of those vibes like that. It's really, really cool. I'm excited, guys, to dig in and get some stuff working for this. So I'm gonna hop off. I appreciate y'all. We'll talk with y'all later. Y'all be easy, breezy. I'm out. Holla at your boy.